Curly worm gets the worm. Another worm? What?
Get back to work, Mr. Squidward.
I don't wanna do your dirty work no more.
No, you're not getting the chips! The chips are off the table, okay? I want a chip! Don't bring Give me a chip!
No! Ew! You're out. And you wanna what?
What?
I'm out.
Okay.
Hi, Lindy.
Hi, Marissa.
Welcome, everyone, to the RIVERHAWK Hired podcast.
Hey, nailed it.
I would like for Jim to insert applause after I said that. I don't know if anyone's noticed. I don't know how to say the title of our podcast. But today we're talking about social media safety, keeping your private life private. Now, why does this pertain to career services? Employers do be looking.
70%.
What?
I got a certificate.
Oh.
I got a statistic.
I got a certificate in
I got a certificate in knowing statistics about social media and employers. Yeah, no. I in a couple articles, 70% of employers look at social media when they're vetting candidates.
I honestly, I've always, because I mean, okay, let me take a step back. From the time that I got my very first MySpace, I was always told to be careful what you post online. Yep. And it just kind of blows my mind that sometimes people don't take that into consideration.
Yeah, I think that especially when social media was first starting out, so, you know, showing the age a little bit as a millennial, right? Like we came into the social media wave, right? Kind of middle school, high school. Instagram wasn't a thing till I got to college. I mean, which, you know, Facebook became pretty popular. MySpace obviously was kind of the front, you know, baby horse leading the pack. And so
I'm sorry. I agree. I mean, it's so interesting to see the audacity, but also employers. Why are you creeping?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Aren't there laws? I should have looked up.
So actually, I don't think there are necessarily laws where employers can't look at socials, but there are employers who do implement policies that say that you can't look at social media. So kind of depends on the company, depends on the person hiring. There are quite a few companies though that look at your socials before they take you as a candidate.
Now I get, you know, creeping on someone's professional social media.
Sure, like LinkedIn.
But I don't know. Like, I understand, but also at the same time, girl, it's none of your business if I skateboard on the weekends or something.
I think that a lot of the articles, I looked at a Reddit post too, right? Just to kind of see like what people were saying. And a lot of people are like, most of the time, the reason that employers are looking at social medias is to see like, are you going to be a liability to their company? Are you saying things that are offensive? Are you, you know, showing drug use or, you know, alcohol abuse or, you know, posting inappropriate things or racist remarks or sexist remarks or ageist remarks or, you know, there's a long list. And so I get people wanting to look and see, like, is this person going to be a liability? But also the problem with looking at social media is it can create bias. There's always going to be probably a bias that is created there because you're getting more of a look at like that person's personal life. And it's like, well, I mean, do you really need to know what this person's personal life is? Like, because you're going to be working with them in a professional capacity. Yeah. But I also, again, like I get
it's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of why we advise against putting headshots on there. That bias
on your resume. Yeah.
And also, it's just scary for me personally because seems to be a trend of employers thinking that like your Facebook posts are a portfolio of your morals. I'm sorry, I share too many stupid memes that carry no weight with my morals. They just make me chuckle.
Yeah.
That like, what if you as my boss, Lindy, judged me off of a crappy meme that I posted in like 2018 or something?
No, low-key, I love your memes.
fear.
I'm not going to lie. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of people use social media for. And I think that's why the younger generations have created Finstas, so that way they can have that freedom to post whatever they want to whoever they want and make that profile private, and then kind of have their, not business page, but like their page that they friend their youth pastor on,
or
and their grandma and stuff like that. The thing where you put your best foot forward, but at the same time it just sucks. It sucks that like you have to like code switch between those two. But I mean, in the long run, if you want to have, a successful career as a heart surgeon, you probably don't need to be posting pictures of you with a keg at spring break at PCB,
Right. Yeah.
So it's just kind of picking and choosing your battles, I think.
Or, I mean, ultimately, make your social medias private. Like, I think that's a big way to kind of help combat that, is it's like, make your social medias private, because then it's just shared with the people that you want to share it with. And you don't have to worry about somebody coming in and looking at your profile because they won't have access to it. And they don't need access to it. And also, like, being aware, something that was noted in one of the articles I read, being aware that, like, if you, like on Facebook, for example, if you're tagged in a post on Facebook, that's going to show up on your profile. So make sure that you are kind of auditing what people are posting about you specifically, because there might be people who are super comfortable with their social media. They might, be a part of companies that don't care about those kinds of things or don't check up on those kinds of things. And then they're posting pictures of you guys, spring break. And maybe that's not something that you necessarily want people to know about you. So making sure that you are able to private those as well.
Oh, yeah. Or like in this article I was reading, it mentions, the drama and the bad luck that you post about on social media and stuff like that. We all have a person or multiple persons in our social media realms that puts everything out there when it comes to a breakup and a misfortune that comes upon them and things like that. So if you want that freedom, just make it private, shawty.
There was a quote from one of the articles that was on our little Google Doc, and one of the first quotes it said was, "Nothing good ever comes from everyone knowing your business." And I agree with that. Like, social media is it's so weird. It has evolved. It's come a very long way in the years that it's been a thing. And those people that post their drama, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I love looking at a good drama post from people that I am not associated with, right? Like, I like getting the tea every once in a while. But couldn't be me, right? I'm not going to be posting my business for everybody to see, because I don't want people to know my business. But everybody's different, right? But I think a big thing that was mentioned in one of the articles is, if you are not going to make them private, like whatever, maybe be careful about posting something bad about a previous employer or a previous coworker, because that is going to be a huge red flag if people are seeing that you're posting negatively about your previous position. It can look it looks worse on you than it does your previous employer, even if that previous employer did really wrong you.
I genuinely, guys, I, as an employer, don't think I'm ever going to go and creep on an applicant's Facebook page just because, oh geez, like that just feels so weird. It feels like I'm opening their front door and saying, like, what's for dinner, guys? It feels almost like an invasion of privacy on my end. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, whenever I'm entering a new workplace, like, sometimes I want to, like, litmus test, people I'm going to be working with, whatever. But I think whenever it comes to that power dynamic, it's really important to have that unbiased look at it. So, you know, there's a reason that there are resumes and cover letters and, you know, interviews and things like that, because that's the information you need to be basing this hiring process off of, not, you know, someone's family vacation photos or breakup story on social media, because the thing that stinks is not a lot of people think about it. And so, I mean, that's one of the reasons we're talking about it today. When this podcast goes up, it's going to be right before spring break. So this is just our reminder to all the Riverhawks out there to like, just keep it cool. You know, if you have that crazy thing, post it on your close friends story. Is that what it's called on Instagram? Close friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a private story or something, you know. Don't be putting everything out there. Make sure you're thinking, would my grandma approve of this? And if you have a cool grandma like me, then, like, it probably won't be an issue. But, you know, within reason, and just make sure you're putting your most professional foot forward. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because you never know when someone, whether it's a hiring manager or a future boss or a coworker who might see something that you don't have private on your social media, they could be, you know, throwing out information that you didn't want to disclose.
And also, if you are going into a like interview or you're applying for a job and you are worried about like somebody looking at your socials, like I said, privatizing them helps, but also like don't just completely delete your socials either, because that can be a red flag, right? Like that was something that was mentioned in one of the articles I read, was it can be a red flag when they don't have social media at all. Why don't you have social media? That's weird, right? Because everybody nowadays, it's not weird if you don't have social media, right? Everybody is their own person, and they can choose if they want to be on social media or not. But there might be some employers out there, you know, again, that bias, who are like, why doesn't this person have social media at all?
Especially depending on what field you're entering. So me as a media studies alum, shout out media studies program. What's their podcast called? Hawk Talk. But I'm always thinking of social media and what I'm putting out into the world on that kind of stuff. So it comes naturally to some people, because they realize that their, you know, social medias are going to get looked at, because that's kind of going to be their job in the future. But still, even if you're going to be a veterinarian or something, still, you know, keep that social media presence G-rated, because we want to make sure we get into med school to become the vet we want to be. So you just never know who's looking, and that's just how social media works, unfortunately. So
well, and you know, something that was mentioned in our third SOACE podcast release, I talked about was when I had gone to one of the breakout sessions, a lady had told a story, because it was about mentor programs. And so she was partnering mentors and mentees, and this mentor had reached out to her and said, I don't want to be this person's mentee because I didn't like what their social media said. Like, I didn't like what they had on social media. I thought it was unprofessional, and I don't want to be a mentor to this person. And they really weren't supposed to even be looking at social medias like that. They weren't supposed to be doing that, apparently. And so a lot of people it prompted a discussion where people were talking about how, you know, that person who was a mentor really was the one who looked worse than the mentee, because you could have utilized that as a teaching moment as a mentor to get this mentee and go, hey, I looked at your social media, and if I were going to hire you for my company, I wouldn't, because of this, that, and the other thing that you posted, instead of just being like, oh, I don't want anything to do with this person, right? Because again, social media is all face value anyway, right? So it's not that deep most of the time. Right. And so that's something that I think can also become a problem, is, again, it's creating that bias. And so it's a double-edged sword. It sucks, because and that's why we can help you with LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, like
let me just plug our office.
Well, I mean, that they don't give out a handbook on how to navigate the waters of social media.
No.
So that's where our office can kind of come in and help you beef up your professional online presence. And then at the same time, just encourage you to keep them private. Not your LinkedIn, obviously. I mean, if you want to, you totally can. But, you know, let's do what we can to get your presence that's going to be out there for the whole public to see, you know, up to the all-star level.
Right.
And then, you know, just make sure that on the back end, you're going and privating that, you know, story that you posted about a conspiracy theory about how birds work for the government. Because it's little dumb things like that could put
they could
everything
really make a
at
difference.
risk.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So is the meme worth it? Are we gonna do it for the Vine? You know.
Well, and you know, something that somebody pointed out is, you know, Gen Z, they're real good at looking and finding. There are super sleuths, right? Like detectives when it comes to social media. And this generation is coming up into the workforce.
Yep.
And so now they're going to be working for these companies that look at your socials. So if you, you know, if you aren't privatizing things, if you aren't taking care of things, somebody will find something.
Oh, yeah.
So Google yourself, you know, I mean, like if you're getting,
advice.
if you are getting ready to go in for an interview and you're really worried about it, Google yourself and see what pops up.
Yeah. I mean, look through the Google images because it's going to pull stuff directly from your Facebook that is public to everybody. So that doesn't mean people who are just on Facebook. That means the entire world has access to this picture now because Google's able to find that. So just keep that in mind. But also, I don't know if we have to worry too much about like Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
No, they are like social media moguls. Like
I know they get it. They
know
have
how to
the
do
Finstas.
it. Yeah, they know how to do it.
The privatized things.
Yeah.
I think that this is a message to all of our older RIVERHAWKs out there. You know, Denise, I really like seeing your posts about your divorce. But if you're applying for a job, it's probably not in your best interest to be
just
throwing your ex under the bus, you know?
I mean, across the board, just be careful. Take care of yourself, right?
Yes.
Take care of yourself, because even if it's not an employer, there's creepy people. There's some weird people out there. So just protect yourselves and be careful. I can't tell you what to do with your life. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you do what you're going to do.
Yeah,
but,
what do we know?
But also, like, if you're applying for a job or you're worried about those kinds of things, do an audit of your social medias. Google yourself, you know, making sure things are privatized, making sure, you know, the posts that you don't want people to see are hidden. Or if you've got a Finsta, you've already kind of covered those things. But the top social medias that are looked at are LinkedIn, Facebook, and, well, X, formerly known as Twitter, right?
Really? I
So,
expected Instagram to be in the top
too.
three.
I think that Instagram is looked at. I think that
Since the content on Facebook and Instagram are really similar most of the time,
Yeah.
maybe with going to X. That makes total sense because I know some people who are like, you know, G-rated on their Facebook, but then on X, that's where they let their freak flag fly.
Right,
you know? And
right.
it's just, that's a good,
But-
you know.
also with LinkedIn being number one, LinkedIn is a professional social media. So there, you know, you do put a profile picture on LinkedIn. So, you know, there are certain things, but the nice thing about LinkedIn is you can set the settings to where you can see who's viewed your profile. So it makes you a little bit more aware of like, oh, this person's looking at my profile. And LinkedIn is all based, like professional based. So it's just your work accomplishments and those kinds of things. So you typically shouldn't have to worry if somebody's looking at your LinkedIn.
Yeah. And if you are worried about or scared to jump into the pool of LinkedIn, feel free to hit up Career Services.
Absolutely.
We're here to help with that because we ourselves
Yeah.
are always trying to make sure that our LinkedIn is up to date,
Right.
looks good. So come hang out with us for about 30 minutes and we'll get you on the right track. But, you know, RIVERHAWKs, at the end of the day, just have fun, be safe, but
Yeah.
have a good spring break and don't post anything stupid, Denise.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Man. Oh, Yes, we'll get the fighter of the night, man.
I don't like koalas anymore.
Make it work. Go, go, go. Do it.
Go so.
Work, work, work.
I think I made my point.